How to reprogram your subconscious for success. Have you ever wondered why success always seems to slip through your fingers even when you put in your maximum effort, set clear goals, and do everything you believe is necessary? Maybe you've convinced yourself that the world around you is to blame. The lack of opportunities, unfavorable circumstances, bad luck. But what if the biggest obstacle isn't out there? What if it's inside you, hidden deep in your mind? We all carry limiting beliefs, subconscious patterns that sabotage our own dreams without us even realizing it. And what if I told you it's possible to reprogram your mind for success? Imagine for a moment having control over your thoughts, your emotions, your reactions to life. Imagine being able to shape your reality, not with relentless effort, but with the serenity of someone who understands the rules of the game. If you're tired of feeling like success is always out of your reach, stay with me until the end, because what you'll learn today could be the key that's been missing to unlock your full potential. The change starts here, and it starts within you. Have you ever stopped to think about how powerful your mind is? I'm not just talking about positive thinking or catchphrases. I'm talking about the real ability you have to transform your life by reprogramming your mind. Just imagine, what if the key to success was right there in front of you, just waiting for you to pick it up? Well, the secret lies in how you train your mind. We all go through challenging moments, those days when it feels like the world is against us, when obstacles seem insurmountable. But what sets someone who wins apart from others is precisely the mindset. And here's the point. You can shape that mindset. You can strengthen your mind, make it resilient, focused, and unbeatable. This is possible for all of us. And the best part, you can start right now. Stoicism teaches us that although we can't control what happens around us, we have full control over how we react. Think about it. How many times have you felt powerless, like a puppet in the hands of circumstances? What if, instead of being shaken, you could look at every situation with a strong, prepared, resilient mind? You can. And it starts with a simple shift: reprogramming your thoughts. You may ask, but how do I do that? How do I change my mindset? Well, that's where daily practice comes in. Just like an athlete trains their body, you need to train your mind. When something goes wrong, you choose how to respond. Will you be shaken, or will you see it as an opportunity for growth? That's the exercise. And it's in that moment that you realize every difficulty can be a chance to evolve. Think about all the times you faced a challenge and came out stronger. That strength is already within you, waiting to be accessed again. Imagine how different your life would be if you had total clarity about your goals and the inner strength to pursue them, regardless of the obstacles. Because here's the secret: it's not about avoiding problems, but about how you handle them. And now I ask you, what are you waiting for to start transforming your mind? Think about your dreams, your goals. What you need to achieve them is already inside you. Let's embark on this journey of mental reprogramming together. One step at a time, with patience and consistency, you'll realize that your mind can be your greatest ally on the path to success. And if you can dream it, you can achieve it. Let's start now. Now that we understand the transformative power of reprogramming the mind, let's think for a moment. How can we ensure that this transformation is constant and real? After all, changing how we think requires practice, discipline, and daily contact with our thoughts and emotions. But how do we know if we're on the right path? How can we ensure that every day we're getting closer to the strongest and most resilient version of ourselves? This is where a simple yet powerful tool comes into play, one used by great thinkers throughout history: daily self-reflection. Just like mental reprogramming, self-reflection is an ongoing practice that allows us to adjust our behavior and improve our attitudes every new day. Have you ever stopped to reflect on your actions and emotions at the end of each day? It might seem like a small thing, but the truth is that this practice can profoundly change your life. What Stoicism teaches us through daily self-reflection is that personal growth doesn't happen by chance, but through constant awareness of who we are and how we react to the situations around us. Think with me. When was the last time you took a few minutes to really analyze your day? Not just the events, but how you felt, how you reacted to each situation. This simple practice of self-reflection is what sets apart those who are truly committed to personal growth from those who live on autopilot. Daily self-reflection is like looking into a mental mirror. It's the moment to ask, today, was I the person I want to be? It's not about perfection, but continuous adjustment. Each day, you have the opportunity to learn from your experiences, improve your reactions, and evolve. When we reflect on our behaviors and emotions, we begin to notice patterns of thought that might be sabotaging us, or actions that bring us closer to success. And here's an important tip: don't be hard on yourself. Self-reflection isn't about self-blame, but about learning. If something didn't go as expected today, what can you do differently tomorrow? This creates a mindset of constant growth, where each day is a new chance to be better than yesterday. Imagine how your life could change if you adopted this practice daily. By reflecting on your actions, you become more aware of your values, your goals, and your own strength. You align more and more with the person you want to be. No matter what happened, every day ends with the chance to prepare better for the next one. So how about starting now? Take a few minutes every day to observe yourself, understand your emotions, and adjust your behaviors. Not only will you gain more clarity over your decisions, but you'll also feel greater control over the direction of your life. Because in the end, the power of transformation is within you, and daily self-reflection is the key to unlocking that power. Are you ready to start turning your evenings into moments of learning and growth? Let's go on this journey of self-awareness and constant evolution together. We've already talked about the importance of reprogramming the mind and using self-reflection to adjust behaviors. But now, let's dive deeper into something even more fundamental: controlling our thoughts. Have you ever stopped to think about the power that thoughts have over your life? They shape how you see the world, how you react to it, and ultimately how you act in relation to your goals. And the most fascinating thing, you can control them. Let's delve into this idea. Think of an ordinary day. From the moment you wake up, your mind is bombarded with a whirlwind of thoughts. Some are automatic and unconscious, like that mental reminder that you need to do something important. Others are more subtle, like a worry that surfaces without being called upon. Now, what many of us don't realize is that we don't have to give in to all these thoughts. You have the ability to choose which ones stay and which ones you will discard. That's the true power of mental control. Why is this so important? Because our thoughts directly influence our emotions and, consequently, our actions. Let's imagine a situation. You're about to start a new project. Two types of thoughts can arise. The first says, "I'm not good enough for this." The second, on the other hand, says, "This is the beginning of something amazing, and I'm going to make it happen." See the difference in the emotional impact each generates. The first thought leads to fear, doubt, inaction. The second sparks motivation, courage, and action. Now stop for a moment and reflect. How many times during the day do you find yourself feeding thoughts that don't contribute to your growth? These thoughts can be so automatic that they often go unnoticed. This is self-sabotage in action. And self-sabotage is silent but powerful. It erodes your confidence, slows your progress, and prevents you from achieving what you truly desire. But here's the key: you are not a hostage to these thoughts. You can consciously decide which thoughts have a place in your mind and which you will leave behind. So how do you start controlling these thoughts? First, you need to develop a mindset of observation. Don't let thoughts simply pass through you without questioning them. When a negative or doubtful thought arises, ask yourself, where is this coming from? Is this thought based on facts or fear? Often, you'll realize that these thoughts have no real foundation. They are just projections of your fears or insecurities. After identifying the thoughts that don't serve you, develop the habit of replacing them with ones that propel you forward. If a self-sabotaging thought says, "I can't do it," you can consciously replace it with, "I may not know how yet, but I'm on the path to figuring it out." This is the kind of control that transforms your mindset. You're not just ignoring the negative, you're reprogramming it. Another important point is understanding that positive thoughts are not just empty optimism. Often, people confuse mental control with trying to see the world through rose-colored glasses. But that's a mistake. Controlling your thoughts is not about ignoring challenges, but about recognizing that even in the face of obstacles, you have the ability to think productively and constructively. Science shows us that the quality of our thoughts directly influences our brain. When we think positively, our stress levels decrease, creativity increases, and problem-solving ability improves. This doesn't mean that negative thoughts will never arise. They are inevitable. But the question is how you deal with them. You can choose to question, discard, and replace these thoughts instead of allowing them to take control. And here's a practical exercise. At the end of your day, after your self-reflection, take a moment to list the most frequent thoughts you had throughout the day. Identify those that weren't constructive and think about how you could have transformed them into something positive or productive. This is the first step in shaping your reality based on what you think. Because in the end, you create your reality starting with your mind. So, how about starting now to tame your mind? Pay attention to what you think, question what doesn't serve you, and replace it with something that moves you forward. The more you do this, the more you'll see that controlling your thoughts is, in fact, controlling your destiny. Are you ready to shape your reality and achieve the success you desire? Let's go on this journey together, because the power is within you. It all starts with what you think. How many times have you felt that no matter how hard you try, success always seems one step ahead? It's like you're running on a treadmill, working hard, setting goals, making plans, but never getting anywhere. And when we look at others, everything seems so much easier for them, as if success was something natural, but for us, always out of reach. The truth is, this feeling of constant struggle and failure is more common than we imagine. But here's an important revelation. The biggest obstacle isn't external circumstances. The problem is often within us. That's right. What holds us back from moving forward isn't usually the challenges of the world, but the limiting beliefs and subconscious patterns we carry, often without realizing it. Think for a moment. How many times have you found yourself thinking that you're not capable, that something is too hard, or that success isn't for you? These thoughts don't come out of nowhere. They come from patterns that were built over your life, past experiences, criticisms you internalized, fears you developed. And the scariest part, these subconscious patterns are always there, functioning as invisible barriers, blocking your path even when you're giving it your all. Have you ever wondered why? Even with clear goals and a solid plan, something always seems to stop you from reaching the next level. It's like there's an invisible wall between you and success. And often this barrier is created by limiting beliefs that have deeply settled in our minds. They are subtle but powerful. They make you doubt yourself, sabotage your own opportunities, and in the end, make you believe that maybe success really isn't for you. But here's the important point. We are not doomed to live trapped in these beliefs. You can change this, and it all starts with the awareness that the greatest enemy of your progress isn't out there, but inside you. By recognizing that many of your fears, doubts, and insecurities stem from subconscious patterns that no longer serve you, you've already taken the first step to breaking that barrier. Now I ask you, what are the beliefs that have been holding you back? Maybe you think you're not good enough, or that you don't have the necessary skills to achieve your dreams. Maybe you believe you don't deserve success, or that success is something reserved for others. Whatever the belief, it can be transformed. This is where the power of reprogramming your mind and controlling your thoughts comes in. Topics we've already discussed. To overcome these invisible barriers, you need to start identifying and questioning these limiting beliefs. Ask yourself, is this really true? Often, you'll discover that these ideas are just assumptions that have been reinforced over the years, but have no basis in reality. And once you realize that, you begin to regain control. Success isn't unattainable. It's within your reach. But before you can reach it, you need to clear the path. Eliminate these internal barriers that are holding you back. Because in the end, the real challenge isn't fighting the world out there, but winning the battle within your own mind. So how about starting to pay more attention to the beliefs you've been carrying? What patterns do you need to break to move forward? Remember, success is within your reach, and it all starts with the work you do within yourself. Let's go on this journey together, tearing down invisible barriers and opening the way to the success you deserve. Now that we understand how to control our thoughts to avoid self-sabotage and build a success mindset, an important question arises. What about the inevitable challenges? Because the truth is that no matter how much we control our mind and stay focused, life will always bring obstacles. The question isn't if, but when. So how do we prepare for them? Stoicism offers us a powerful tool for this. Premeditatio malorum, or the practice of visualizing future difficulties. By mentally anticipating challenges, we're not being pessimistic, but preparing ourselves serenely and effectively to face them when they come. Have you ever imagined how your life would be if you were always prepared for the challenges that come your way, not as someone expecting the worst, but as someone mentally strong, ready for anything? That's the power of premeditatio malorum, a Stoic practice that teaches us to foresee and prepare for adversities before they appear. But wait, don't confuse this with pessimism. The goal isn't to expect everything to go wrong. It's about accepting that difficulties are part of life, and by visualizing them in advance, you won't be caught off guard when they appear. You'll already be ready. Think of it as mental preparation. By anticipating possible obstacles, you create a scenario where you can think clearly and plan your actions. How will you react when a project fails, when an opportunity doesn't work out, when you face criticism or rejection? When you prepare mentally for these scenarios, something incredible happens. You take away the power those difficulties would have to destabilize you. After all, if you've already prepared, there's no room for shock or despair. And here's the key to this practice. Visualizing difficulties doesn't make them inevitable, but it makes you unshakable in the face of them. When you've mentally anticipated a challenging situation, your mind has already rehearsed your responses. This means that when the time comes, you'll be much calmer and in control. You don't despair, you don't act impulsively. You already have a strategy because you've thought it through. This practice also helps reduce the fear of the unknown. We tend to fear what we can't predict, but when you take time to imagine the difficulties that may arise, you bring those fears into the light. You make them tangible and, in a way, manageable. By putting possible problems in your mind before facing them, you make them less frightening. Let's imagine a practical example. You have an important presentation at work. What can go wrong? Maybe you forget an important point, or someone asks a question you don't know the answer to. Visualizing these difficulties gives you the opportunity to prepare. How will you react if you forget something? Maybe you have a strategy ready to regain control. And if someone asks a difficult question, think about how you can respond calmly and confidently, even without having the perfect answer. By practicing this visualization, you prepare to act serenely and effectively when the time comes. But the most important thing is that by anticipating challenges, you strengthen your resilience. Stoicism teaches us that we can't control everything that happens around us, but we can always control how we react. The practice of premeditatio malorum is about this. It's not about expecting the worst, but being always ready to respond in the best way possible, no matter what happens. Now I ask you, what are the challenges you can visualize today? Think about your goals, your dreams. What might come up along the way that could destabilize you? Start thinking now about how you'll react, how you'll mentally prepare to face these obstacles with confidence and serenity. When you adopt this practice, the fear of what's to come dissipates because you know that whatever happens, you'll be ready. Let's visualize, plan, and prepare for whatever comes with the certainty that regardless of the challenges, we'll be able to face them with calm, clarity, and inner strength. After understanding the importance of visualizing future challenges and mentally preparing to face them, we come to an inevitable reality on the path to success: failure. We can anticipate difficulties, plan and train our mind, but the truth is, at some point, we will fail. And you know what? That's okay, because failure isn't the end of the road, it's actually an essential part of it. What does failure mean to you? For many, failure is a scary monster, something to be avoided at all costs. But what if I told you that failure is actually one of your best teachers? That changes the perspective, doesn't it? Failure, as painful as it may be, has the potential to be a springboard to your next success. It's not the end of the journey, but a crucial stage of the process. Let's think for a moment. Who has never failed? Great entrepreneurs, elite athletes, renowned artists. They all have something in common. They've failed, and they've failed a lot. The difference is that they learned to accept failure not as a sign that they should give up, but as an opportunity to improve. And that's exactly what you can do. What happens to many of us is that we associate failure with an idea of personal incapacity, as if failing were proof that we're not good enough. But failure doesn't have that power unless you give it that power. Instead of fearing failure, see it as a natural part of the journey, because that's what it really is. Imagine you're trying to achieve a big goal. It could be a new business, a personal project, or even something related to your professional development. You outline your plan, work hard, but things don't go as expected. And now, this is the moment when many give up. But for those who understand that failure is part of the process, this is the moment to ask, what can I learn from this? That's the real difference. Instead of seeing failure as a wall that blocks progress, you begin to see it as a bridge that takes you to the next level. Because when you fail, you gain a valuable opportunity. The opportunity to understand what went wrong, and most importantly, to correct course. Think of the times you've learned something important in life. Almost always, the most valuable lessons came from moments of difficulty, didn't they? And failure is exactly that, a moment of learning. When you accept failure as part of the journey, you free yourself from the fear of making mistakes, and without that fear, you gain the courage to try again with more wisdom and experience. And here's an important reflection. No one gets it right the first time. The greatest successes are the result of attempts, mistakes, and restarts. Each mistake brings you closer to success because it shows you what doesn't work and what needs to be adjusted. And that's incredibly powerful. When you embrace failure and see it as part of your trajectory, you become unshakable. Nothing can stop you because you understand that failure isn't a setback, but a step forward, as long as you learn from it. So next time something doesn't go as planned, don't despair. Instead, look at the situation with a new perspective. What can you take away that's positive from this moment? How can you use this failure as fuel to improve, adjust your strategies, and try again with even more strength and clarity? Success is built on a foundation of failures. Every time you fail, you're closer to achieving your goals, as long as you don't let failure paralyze you. By accepting that making mistakes is part of the process, you free yourself from the pressure to be perfect and open yourself up to grow, learn, and eventually win. And now I ask you, what are you waiting for to embrace failure? Don't fear mistakes. Use each one as an opportunity for growth, because in the end, it's what you do after failure that defines your success. Let's go on this path together, accepting failure as part of the process, knowing that with each obstacle overcome, you're closer to achieving everything you desire. After accepting failure as an essential part of the growth process, we need to understand another fundamental truth: discomfort. Just like failure, it's inevitable. And in fact, discomfort isn't something to be avoided but embraced, because it's precisely in discomfort that true growth happens. Are you ready to step out of your comfort zone and reach a new level of potential? Think of any moment in your life when you truly evolved. It could be a personal achievement, a professional advancement, or even a change in mindset. Now be honest, was it easy? Almost certainly not. Genuine growth is rarely comfortable. And that's the central point. Discomfort isn't an enemy, it's the path. Most of us spend our lives trying to avoid discomfort. We want things to be easy, for everything to flow smoothly and without major difficulties. But what really happens when we settle? We become stagnant. Growth, evolution, and success come from moments when we are challenged, when we step out of our comfort zone and push ourselves to face the unknown. But this doesn't mean we need to like discomfort. It means we need to learn to accept it. When we train our minds to see discomfort as a natural part of the journey, as a sign that we are growing, it stops being something we avoid and becomes something we embrace. Because the more uncomfortable you feel, the closer you are to a major transformation. Look at great athletes, for example. To achieve excellence, they train relentlessly, often in extreme and challenging situations. Each workout requires them to push their physical and mental limits, and it's not easy. The body aches, the mind screams to stop, but they keep going. Why? Because they know that it's in this discomfort that the body strengthens, the mind sharpens, and the results appear. The same goes for any area of your life. Want to improve your professional skills? That will require you to face uncomfortable situations. Perhaps learning something new that you're not yet proficient in, or tackling challenges that force you to adapt quickly. Want to evolve in your relationships? That might mean having difficult conversations, facing uncomfortable truths, or dealing with emotions we'd rather avoid. Discomfort is the fertile soil where growth happens. And here's a powerful truth. The more you train your mind to deal with discomfort, the more resilient and strong you become. Discomfort stops being an obstacle and becomes a tool. Instead of running from it, you start seeking it out because you understand that every time you feel uncomfortable, you're breaking out of stagnation and getting closer to your best self. Now, it's important to recognize that accepting discomfort doesn't mean living in constant suffering. It's about changing the mindset. Instead of seeing challenges as threats, you see them as opportunities. Opportunities to learn something new, to strengthen your resilience, to push through limits that once seemed insurmountable. And here's a practical exercise. The next time you feel that discomfort, whether it's when facing a difficult situation, starting something new, or dealing with the unknown, stop for a moment and reflect. Instead of resisting the discomfort, ask yourself, What is this discomfort trying to teach me? Because there's always a lesson, and by changing your perspective, you start to see these moments as an integral part of your growth. Think of the people you admire. Whether in personal, professional, or spiritual realms, they got where they are because they learned to embrace discomfort. They understood that the path to success is made up of moments of uncertainty, of steps taken in the dark, of trial and error, and of a constant quest for something greater. You can do the same. The only difference is that now, instead of seeing discomfort as something negative, you'll see it as an opportunity to strengthen yourself and evolve. So I ask you, are you ready to accept discomfort? Are you ready to see challenges as opportunities and not as threats? Because that's the key to continuous growth and overcoming your own limits. Let's go on this process together of embracing discomfort, knowing that it's the sign that you're on the right path, growing, evolving, and becoming stronger every day. Now that we understand that discomfort is an essential part of growth and that it pushes us beyond our limits, an essential question arises. How do we stay strong in the face of this discomfort? The answer lies in willpower. It's the fuel that keeps us on the path, even when things get tough. And like discomfort, willpower can be trained and strengthened. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to be able to keep going, no matter how difficult the journey becomes? The answer lies in willpower. This ability is what allows you to keep going even when everything inside you screams to stop. But contrary to what many believe, willpower isn't a fixed trait, something you're simply born with or without. It's like a muscle and can be trained. Imagine willpower as a reserve of energy. Every time you resist the temptation to give up, to procrastinate, or to give in to bad habits, you're strengthening that reserve. And the good news is that you don't need to make huge sacrifices or face enormous challenges all at once to train your willpower. In fact, it's the small daily actions that make all the difference. Think of a high-performance athlete. They don't become strong overnight. Every day, they make small adjustments, follow a consistent training routine, eat well, sleep enough. It's the discipline in the details that over time builds incredible strength. The same is true for willpower. By making small and consistent decisions every day, you're training your mind to resist the temptations to quit, and over time, that strength grows. But how do you start training willpower in practice? Start with something simple. Choose an area of your life where you know you could be more disciplined. Maybe it's waking up earlier, eating healthier, avoiding procrastination, or exercising regularly. Set a small goal and execute it consistently. It's not about transforming your life all at once, but about creating the habit of discipline. When you meet these small daily goals, something powerful happens. You start to build confidence in yourself, and confidence generates more willpower. Each small victory reinforces the idea that you are capable, that you can do what you set out to do. This positive cycle strengthens over time, and before you know it, your willpower will be a powerful tool in any challenge that comes your way. Another important point: recognize that there will be moments when you fail. We all fail from time to time. But what sets those with unshakable willpower apart is the ability to start again. If you stumble, get back up the next day and continue on the path. Willpower isn't about perfection, but about consistency. This is where a valuable concept comes in: the power of incremental discipline. Each time you choose to resist temptation, each time you make that extra effort to complete a task, you're increasing your capacity for self-discipline. And the more you do this, the easier it becomes. Willpower, like discomfort, must be accepted as part of the growth process. It may be challenging at first, but it becomes a powerful ally over time. Now stop and reflect. In which areas of your life do you know you could benefit from a little more willpower? Maybe it's persistence in an important project or commitment to your health and well-being. Whatever the goal, know that the willpower to achieve it is already within you. It just needs to be trained and cultivated. So, how about starting now? Take a small step today. Make a conscious decision to do something you've been putting off, even if it's small, and tomorrow, do it again. Over time, you'll realize that these small, consistent acts are building a strength you may not have known you had. Because, in the end, success isn't about big leaps, but about small steps taken with determination every day. And with this growing strength, you'll be ready to face any challenge that comes your way. Let's go together, strengthening our willpower, knowing that every small action brings us closer to our greatest goals. By strengthening your willpower with small and consistent actions, you begin to realize that it's the daily repetition of these behaviors that truly builds success. The next step? Transform these actions into automatic habits, because true growth and true change happen when positive actions become a natural part of who you are. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to make healthy, productive, and virtuous choices effortlessly? What for many seems like a daunting task, for these people seems almost instinctive. But what do they have that's different? The repetition of positive actions. The truth is that success and a balanced life aren't built by occasional grand gestures, but by the constant repetition of small virtuous behaviors that over time become automatic habits. Think of a talented musician. When you see them on stage, everything seems easy, natural, almost magical. But what you don't see are the hours and hours of daily practice, the mistakes corrected, the relentless repetition of notes and techniques until they become a part of them. The same principle applies to any aspect of life. Excellence is the result of repetition. This repetition doesn't refer only to grand actions. It's about the small daily choices, waking up early, maintaining discipline at work, dedicating time to take care of your physical and mental health, practicing gratitude. These small behaviors, when repeated consistently, begin to transform into something automatic. And when these virtuous actions become a natural part of your routine, they build a solid foundation for success. Neuroscience shows us that over time, the repetition of an action creates new connections in the brain. This means that the more you repeat an action, the easier it becomes. Initially, maintaining consistency may seem challenging. You'll feel resistance, you'll want to postpone, and sometimes you'll even doubt whether these small actions are really making a difference. But gradually, as you keep repeating these behaviors, they stop being a conscious effort and become habits. That's where the magic happens, when your positive actions stop being a difficult choice and become automatic. By repeating virtuous actions daily, you're actually training your brain to operate in success mode. And it's important to remember that success isn't a one-time event. It's the cumulative result of these small decisions repeated over time. Let's think of a simple example, the practice of gratitude. At first, it may seem strange or forced to stop every day to reflect on what you're grateful for. But by doing this repeatedly, day after day, you train your mind to focus on the positive, on what's working. Over time, gratitude becomes a natural response, and you begin to live in a more balanced way, with a clearer and more positive view of the world. Now apply this principle to any other area of your life. Want to be more productive at work? Start repeating small daily acts of focus and organization. Want to improve your health? Create a routine of physical activity and healthy eating, and repeat it until it becomes something natural. Want to strengthen your relationships? Repeat daily gestures of affection, patience, and communication. Everything you want to improve in your life can be built through the repetition of positive actions. The key is consistency. It's not about big, immediate changes, but small steps repeated over time. And most importantly, when you fail, because failures will happen, don't give up. The beauty of repetition lies in your ability to restart. If one day you don't manage to keep up the pace, get back on track the next day. It's the sum of consistent actions over time that builds success. So I ask you, what positive actions can you start repeating today? What small gestures, behaviors, or habits do you know could make a big difference if maintained consistently? Success is built daily, and it's within your reach. By repeating positive actions, you create a firm and balanced foundation for a fulfilling life. Let's start now together. Choose one small positive action, repeat it every day, and watch how over time it becomes a powerful habit that takes you to a new level of balance and success. Now that we understand the power of repeating positive actions to create habits and transform our behavior consistently, an essential question arises. What about the results? After all, we're all in pursuit of success, of reaching our goals. But the real secret to achieving lasting peace of mind doesn't lie in clinging to the final results. It lies in focusing on the process. Have you ever felt frustrated for not achieving a result you desired so much, even after so much effort? The truth is that we've all been there. We work hard, dedicate time and energy, but sometimes the results don't come as we expected, and that can be devastating, especially when the focus is exclusively on the final outcome. However, what Stoicism teaches us is that true peace and fulfillment come from detaching from the results and focusing on what's truly within our control, the process. Let's be honest, there are many things in life that are out of our control. We can't fully control how people will react to our actions, what the market will do, or even what the future holds. But what can we control? Our dedication, our effort, the consistency of our actions. And when we learn to place our focus on the process, not the result, we free our minds from an enormous load of stress and frustration. Think of a farmer. He works the land carefully, plants the seeds, waters the soil, and does everything within his power to ensure a good harvest. But in the end, the growth of the plants doesn't depend entirely on him. There are external factors, the weather, pests, the quality of the soil that he can't control. The farmer who understands this accepts that after doing everything he could, he needs to detach from the result. He doesn't stop working. On the contrary, he continues to care for the process with dedication, but he doesn't let the uncertainty of the outcome consume him. The same goes for any area of life. You may put your all into a project at work, but the final result may depend on external variables that are beyond your control. It could be that you gave it your best, but still something unexpected happens. And that's okay. Detaching from the result doesn't mean you don't care, but rather understanding that true success lies in doing the best you can within what's under your control, without being imprisoned by expectations of what will come next. When you focus on the process, something incredible happens. You start appreciating the journey. Every step you take, every challenge you overcome, every small progress you make, all of that becomes the real value. The final result stops being the only measure of success, and you begin to realize that personal growth, evolution, and satisfaction lie in the journey, not just in the finish line. This leads us to an important reflection. How many times have we failed to recognize our progress because we were blindly focused on the final result? Success, in its deepest form, isn't just about reaching the goal, but about how you transform along the way. When you let go of the need to control the outcome and accept whatever comes, the pressure decreases and you gain a new lightness to move forward. And here comes a powerful Stoic concept. What we can control are our actions, our attitude, and our effort. But the results, those are out of our reach. By accepting this, you free yourself from an unnecessary burden and find peace of mind. You become more resilient, more capable of dealing with setbacks, and paradoxically, more likely to achieve success. After all, when the focus is on the process, You are present, attentive, and ready to adjust your course without being shaken. Now I ask you, in which areas of your life are you clinging too much to the results? And how is that affecting your peace of mind? Perhaps it's at work, in relationships, in your personal projects. How about starting to focus on the process? By putting your energy into what you can control, in daily actions, in consistency, in repeating positive behaviors, you'll discover a new way of living with more balance and less frustration. The real power lies in letting go. Do the best you can every day, and then trust the process. Detach yourself from the results and see how, by releasing that pressure, you gain more clarity, more serenity, and surprisingly, more success. Let's go on this path together, focusing on what we can control and accepting with peace of mind whatever comes afterward. And now, what will you do with all this? Throughout this video, we've explored together some of the most important pillars for personal growth and success. Each of these steps is part of a transformation journey where success isn't a finish line, but the path you build every day. What matters in the end isn't achieving perfection, but continuous progress. The secret is to live the process, to accept failures and challenges, and to strengthen yourself with every step you take. You already have everything you need to start. It's all inside you, waiting to be activated. So now is the time to act. What can you start applying in your life today? Think of a small step, a small action, something you can do every day to get closer to the strongest, most resilient, and successful version of yourself. Remember, success is built on consistent actions and the ability to rise after every fall. And of course, don't forget to be part of this community. If this content inspired you, leave your like to help us spread this message to more people. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss more videos like this, and hit the notification bell to receive updates on our upcoming content. Let's continue this journey of transformation together, one step at a time. Thank you for watching, and remember, the power to change is in your hands. Let's move forward.